Hello, everyone. This is Victory Chat with Jackie. My name is Jackie McKeever. I am a life and business coach, and what I do is I create strategies specifically for women just like you to help them with personal development, personal finances, business planning, and management. And y'all, I have a special treat for everybody listening to this broadcast. I have a special guest, and our guests are friends. And what do we do with friends? We allow our friends to introduce themselves. So, girl, uh, tell the people who you are and what you do.
Hi, everybody. So my name is Stacy Kelly, and I am a author and blogger, and I live in the UK, and I'm also a HR professional. So as I said before, my name is Stacy Kelly, and I am on Instagram called Skelly Girl, so that's AKA Skelly Girl.
That's cute. So, what made you want to be an author and a blogger?
So I've always liked reading, writing, and just expressing myself. So when I was a teenager, I started writing poetry, and I always did well at English, and I love to write, but it took me a while to get to this point where I can, express myself in the creative way that I have been doing, and becoming an author from that. Um, but yeah, as a young woman, I just always love to express myself that kind of way.
That is good. So, where are you from?
So I'm from the beautiful island of Jamaica. Um, I grew up in the rural parish of St. Thomas, and that is located on the eastern side of Jamaica. So that's where I'm
Ooh,
from.
beautiful place. So, what brought you to the UK?
Yeah, so I followed a young, handsome soldier. Um, we were high school sweethearts, and we got married, and I followed him here to the UK. That was over 10 years ago.
So, what are three things have you learned since you moved to the UK?
Well, you gave me, well, three things you said, but I think I have three and a half, or maybe three
That's
point.
all right. Just give it to me, girl. Give it to us.
Okay. All right. So the first thing I learned after I came here was to be resilient. Um, I've always been someone who carried a lot of hope around with me. But however, when I came here, I had to learn to practice how to be resilient. I had to learn how to bounce back, especially when, things started happening and life gets to you at times. So I had to learn to do that. The second thing was that I had to learn to adapt within my surroundings very quickly. I described myself back then as a chameleon because the chameleon knows how to adapt itself to its environment, and not only survive in that environment but thrive as well. And then the third bit of it is having my own identity and overcoming fear. Um, and I really had to learn this one, and I'm still learning it as I go along. Um, but I always was seen as somebody's sister or daughter, or somebody else's pronoun to say. And I had to figure out who I was, and use that in to overcome my insecurities and my anxieties, and the fear that stopped me from being who I wanted to be.
That was good.
Hmm.
That's a lot. A
Thank
lot of people
you.
don't learn that stuff. So, so you mentioned you were an author. What
Mhm.
books or have you published or about to publish? And can you give us a few details?
Yes, definitely. So I'm about to publish a novel, and I think it'll be quite fitting for the summer. Um, it's a love story um, of a young man and a young woman and just how they met. Um, to give you a synopsis, it's they met on a train, which I'm sure in real life it happens. So um, I had the outline of them meeting on a train, and they developed a friendship, and then a love story ensued from there. And it's based on them being a part of the church. Um, and I made that quite specific because I wanted to sort of live my life through them per se. And I'm a part of the church body, and I wanted different audiences to be able to read the book.
So, what do you hope that people who buy your book learn from your book?
That to know that love do exist, and it might sometimes we read books and we think it's a bit far-fetched, but that there is a possibility that it could happen like that. Um, and that in the book, I wrote the man to be a really good man, and I think that they do exist. Um, but I also wrote in the book that she didn't need his love to be happy. She already had her happiness and joy. And I wanted people to see that you don't really need a man to define your happiness. You should go out and or you should make sure that you have that already before you ensue or form a relationship. So that I would like them to take that away, and that love do exist, and that happiness at the end of the book for love exists as well.
Well, that's a good information or thing to live by.
Mm.
Um, are those some of the key things that you learned while before writing the book? Is that what inspired you to write that?
So I think I wanted to envision a life from the book for myself. Um, so sadly, my husband and I are not together anymore. We're divorced. However, for the future, it is something that I would like for myself. And so while I was writing it, I was placing myself in this young woman's shoes. She was living in my head, and putting her down on paper, it seems like I was sort of making it a reality, kind of. And, that's where the whole notion came from.
So here's something that I like to ask you. A lot of
Mhm.
times when people look for their happy ending, so to speak, does that mean that they won't have uh any trial, like they say, trials and errors along their journey?
Oh no, not at all, because life um, is never a bed of roses. When you go through life, there's so many ups and downs, and bumps and scrapes that you go along with. Um, and in the book, I showed that as well. Where it wasn't all dreamy and ice cream. She had been through some stuff, um, but she ensured that she had worked on herself to make herself become someone that was lovable. And I think that is really important, whether it is a romantic relationship or just a friendship, that we work on ourselves and we make ourselves attract good things, so to speak. So yeah, definitely you'll go through in life, you'll go through so much.
Yes, and one of the things, and just to let you all know, we've talked a little bit more about the book, but I'm bound to secrecy. I'm not gonna give it up, give up the secret, because y'all got to get this book.
Yay,
But
get this book.
yes, you got to get this book. And one of the things I want to mention is it reminds me of this conversation. So I did this post, and when I did this post, I was specifically, and I did it on Facebook. It hasn't been posted on Instagram, but it will, because I'm interested on how people will comment on it. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, the post on Facebook, I asked, if you had a choice between love and career, what would you choose?
Mm.
And um, some people chose, of course, there were a handful of people that said career. Another handful of people said, a few people were honest and really chose love.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of conversations that I wanted to bring up, that I wanted to ask you, what would you tell this young lady? This young lady says, in her state of mind currently, she found that relationships to be distracting for her. She's been in relationships, and in the relationships, she had individuals, which was men, ask her to stop pursuing her dream and just
Mm.
settle for the relationship that they had together. And of course, she chose to keep going after her dream. And but for her, after that experience, those few experience of having the same thing happen, I guess multiple times or maybe a few times, she's given up on love for right now until she's reached her goal. So
Right.
if you had known that lady, do you think that she's doing the right thing, or would you suggest she do something different?
No, I think she had done the right thing for her. Um, I believe when you love somebody, it should be unconditional. Um, so the men that she had had in her life, I don't believe that they were the right ones for her, because they wouldn't have asked her to give up her career. I believe you can have love and you can have a career, um, and it's a balancing act. It's two-folded, and a relationship is never one-sided. So I would encourage her and any other young woman to follow your dream, um, to have your career and to find love. Um, but if it comes to the part where you're being pressured to let go of your dream and let go of your career, then I don't believe that person is the right person for you. They would encourage you to be your best self. And we live in a day and age where um, we're not defined by our careers, um, but our careers help to you know, create a life for us, stabilize us, um, give us something else to work towards outside of our other relationships. So yes, I would tell her to keep going, and the right person will come along for her at the right time.
I think that's excellent advice, because
Mm-hmm.
one of the things I did notice when I did the post, and I had several response when I asked some of the people who said that they would choose their career, or they said something about love is this and love is that. I asked them, had they ever had a choice? Have they ever had to make a decision like
Mm.
that? And some didn't answer that question, but one brave person, which was a male,
Of course.
answered that question, and they said they never had that experience.
Mm.
So my thing is, I think that was wonderful advice that you gave. That's
Yep.
very honest advice. When it comes to choosing loves to your career, it's easy for a person to say, who hasn't experienced or really hasn't really, did anything that's really a defining moment. I like to call them boom moments.
Yes.
And booms is, booms are moments that are, well, generally when they refer as boom, when they're talking about a travesty, something
Yes.
dramatic. But I use it in a term. Yes, it's dramatic. Means it makes your whole life do a 180 or 190 or whatever degree turn.
Yes.
Somewhat like you moving all the way from Jamaica to UK.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's life changing. When people have done something like that, it's literally they turned their life, they started their life over from ground. They can
Yes.
tell you about the risks that you take. They can
Yes.
tell you about their journey, because when they actually invested in love and invested in their self and invested in who they hope to be and what they want.
That's right.
And their end results may not uh and those are the people that you should seek advice from when you are having to make hard decisions.
That's
Be
it.
careful of the people that you ask for advice of and the advice you give. But
Yes.
somebody like you, for instance, like back to what I was saying, because you had that experience, that's what makes you an expert. I myself have faced that challenge, such as that, where
Yeah.
people would ask me to stay when I had a dream and I had to make a choice. And there's been times where I've chosen love, and there's been times where I've chose my career, you
Yes.
know and you're right, it's really up to the individual and what vision and what passion and whatever you feel you're called to do.
Yes.
And nobody else, and I'm just saying, I'm in agreement, nobody else can tell you exactly what you should do except for you. But if you have this calling, this aching inside of you, something that's pulling you to do a decision, to make a decision, follow that right mind. I mean,
Yeah.
really evaluate where it's coming from. And if especially if it's a calling from God,
Yes.
jump on it. But if you feel like it's foolish, and it's foolish because of the way we ask questions. If
Yes.
you ask a person a question, do you think I'm foolish for thinking this? Obviously, you think that you're foolish, because why would you begin your sentence is with, do I think I'm foolish? But if
That's
you
right.
say, do you think I should pursue my dreams? It means that you feel like you want to pursue your dreams. So
Yes.
go after it.
And the fact that you do ask, you're being quite polite, because you could have gone off and just done it, but you want that person to be a part of your life, so you do ask.
Start the conversation. You never know
Yes.
until you ask. you
That's
know
it.
and I remember watching a movie one time, and I think it was about two people who had got engaged or in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, y'all, I watch a lot of love stories, so I can't tell you the name, I can't tell you the exact information about the characters, because I love love. I love I love to see people fall in love. I love learning to love myself. I love to
Yes.
see other people love to learn themselves. But anyway, in the story, the two people, they had an opportunity, and both of their opportunities. I'm just gonna name a city. I don't know if this was a city in the movie, but let's say they was going to Paris.
Mm-hmm.
They both had different jobs, and they were getting a promotion, but their promotion called for them to move to Paris.
Mm-hmm.
And because they were so in love with each other, they were about to get married, and they knew that they had to give their jobs this answer um quickly, or this opportunity would pass. And they were scared to talk to one another, and they
Mm-hmm.
did not realize that both of their promotions were going to put them in the same city. And you
Oh.
know what I thought when I seen that scene? It was more than just about communication. It was about that Bible verse that says uh about being equally yoked,
Mm-hmm.
about being equally yoked, and um about the thing that they normally say during your wedding vows: let what God put together, let no
Mm-hmm.
man put asunder, or something like that. And that's what that reminded me of. And in other words, if it's meant to be,
Yes.
no matter what, you're going to come together. You're going
Yes.
to make it work. But it does take conversation, and it may take compromising.
Yes.
And in any relationship, you have to compromise. Everything is not going to be exactly perfect.
That's it. That's it. That's true.
Anyway, I love this subject, and I know you got to go. I want to really, really thank you. But before we go, can you tell the people how they can reach out and touch you? How they can get in contact? How they not touch you? Because this corona time, we can't touch nobody. But how they can reach out, reach out to talk to you and follow you.
Of course. I want to say thank you so much for having me on. This is a really great experience. Um, but yeah, so they can reach me on Instagram at Skelly underscore 35. Sorry, Skelly girl underscore 35 on Instagram. Um, so that's SKELLY underscore 30 girl underscore 35 at on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook as Stacy and Kelly, and I do have a blog, I have a website that's called Inspirational Development. So it's in www.inspirationaldevelopment.uk, and that is where I do my blog post. So you can reach me there. Um, and if you want to drop a email, my email address is Stacy Kelly 1981 at gmail.com. So yeah, hit me up. I'm on Instagram daily, trying to do my post and encourage as best as I could. So yeah, I'm there. Um, Go find me. Can't wait to hear from you guys.
All right. Well, thank you. Once
Thank you
again,
so
this
much,
is
Jackie.
Victory Chat. Your victory starts here. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.